Indonesia and India really are here to stay. Both Indonesia and India can show the world what kind of business models that work. So we need to learn from India on this.
Hello friends, I am Prashant V. Singh and you're watching Times Network. We are back with another exciting interview. Today we have with us a person who is a business magnate, a global investor, a prominent philanthropist, and now he is spreading his wings across internationally in various trade avenues. He is Mr. Anindya Bakrie, who is head of and chairman of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Bakrie, welcome to Times Network and welcome to Bharat. So, how you are feeling in Bharat?
Well, it's nice to be back here again. And I think I was here 2018 and I think a decade before that for Republic Day. So this is my third Republic Days and with 3 different presidents of Indonesia.
Okay.
And still the same nice Delhi.
Okay.
So it's very happy. It's very nice to be back here.
Did you meet Mr. Modi?
Yes, I had the pleasure to see him, and he was kind enough to invite some of us to the lunch at Hyderabad House. It was a good lunch, good food. I could not finish the dessert because the president had to come back to the next agenda, but it was a very elegant house, and the press meet, the session was also good. I think the 2 leaders spoke very, very well. They look very relaxed. They look very comfortable with each other. I think that's a good thing for 2 eyes, India and Indonesia, to go hand in hand.
So first of all, tell us, as the head and the chairman of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce Industry, what's your vision behind enhancing trade ties and trade relations when it comes to Indonesia and India?
Actually, in a nutshell, the job of chairman of KADIN, or the Indonesian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, number one, we need to help the local entrepreneurs to grow and create more entrepreneurs. Today, KADIN, or Chambers of Commerce and Industry, in Indonesia has 150,000 members. These are corporations. KADIN is a semi-statutory body in Indonesia. There's only one Chambers of Commerce and Industry, in which all companies, big, small, including small, medium enterprises and cooperatives, have to be a member of KADIN. So our job is to serve them, to make sure that they can grow in their journey, to get bigger, to be more profitable, and to contribute to the economic activities of Indonesia. So number one, to help our members. Number 2, actually, we are, by law, the strategic partner of the government when it comes to economics. So we work
officially by the law.
By the law.
By the law.
So we work with the government to ensure that they can attract more investments coming in. Just a little bit of background, Prasan. Out of 100% of the GDP of Indonesia, which is about 1.3 trillion US dollars, I think it's number 15 in the world. 55% coming from domestic consumption.
Okay.
However, 25% is coming from the investment. So this is where KADIN work together with the government to make sure that more investment coming into the country, and also process that investment to become something that will also help the trades to Indonesia. So when we come here, we see investments, both sides. We see trades, both sides, but I think with India, we see even more than that. We see investment, both sides, in human capital. And that is something quite key because we're investing for the future.
Okay, so a very apt question, what you answered in terms of that as the head of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, do you think there were challenges earlier in Indonesia which are now not there after you took over?
No, I guess I cannot say I'm that good, but I can say...
Any initiatives that you guys have taken under your leadership?
Yeah, I think I would like to say that there are at least 3 initiatives that have helped the government and our members to be able to do better in what they are trying to achieve. Number one, today's KADIN is KADIN that involves not only big corporations, but also corporations and business people in Indonesian's provinces.
Okay. Small traders.
Small traders, small medium enterprises,
And
or just
MSMEs and
up-and-coming business people. This also rings a bell when you look at India, because that's how India grows.
Yeah.
I just got back from Davos, and you see all the outlets, the stands of promotions are by province over there.
Yeah,
right.
correct.
So that's number one.
State-based.
State-based, right? And number two, KADIN this time, we want to focus on substance and data. So we have our own think tank in-house. So we have our own substance and data, but also we have our own business advisory in-house.
Okay.
So this will help a lot of members to do better in what they do. The third thing is that we have our foreign business desk almost in every country, including in India. So for India, for example, we have an ambassador of KADIN for India.
Okay.
And that is a good system, we think, because he or she can work hand in hand with the real ambassadors that focus on a lot of other things.
Okay.
So with this, coming back to the same objective, we want to give members opportunities to do well. After all, they bring welfare, domestic consumption to the economy. But we can also help the government to attract a lot more investments. And number three, we also want to make sure that, whether the local players or the international players can export a lot of their goods overseas, right? Not many countries can have, trade balance with a lot of the big countries. But we don't just look at the numbers. We look at whether we're going up the value chain or not. It's one thing to be able to sell the raw materials, but it's another thing when we sell the value-added finished products, and that's where we want to be.
Okay. So when you say that we are trying to promote trade and everything, what do you think, what is more important? Domestic players within the country, within the Indonesia, or big players and small players as well who are trying to go globally? What is more important?
If we look at the data, Prasan, 95% of the business corporations are small, medium enterprises.
Okay.
Right. And they're the ones that are most resilient in terms of making sure during crisis, which happen every 10 years nowadays, or a down cycle, the economy remain intact, right? And if you look at the bad debt of this category, they're probably about 1% or less, which is much less than 4 or 5% for bigger corporations. So I would say it is actually I would say the category that we need to focus more. Now, I'm not saying we should not help the bigger corporations to go global and abroad and to be bigger and getting to other sectors that can employ more people and work with a lot of small, medium enterprises. But these corporations are corporations that can make it on their own. We need to help them with policy recommendations to the government. We need to help them on making sure that they get full market access outside Indonesia. But other than that, I think we should focus on small, medium enterprises these days.
So when you say that focus on MSMEs and small businesses, do you have any sectors and business opportunities in mind which are there in the Indonesia which needs more focus?
Yeah, and we spoke about it in the CEO forum today. Number one is the agriculture sector. It's very important. Some of the members from 35 provinces went to visit a mill factory nearby because Indonesia is embarking on, for example, a free meal program, just to make sure that we have our food resilience program strong, right? So we are developing also industrialization in this because we need, for example, for this free meal program, 80 million eggs, 8 million chicken, a lot of rice, a lot of vegetables, and so on. So number one, agribusiness.
Yeah, agribusiness. This includes farming and everything.
Farming and everything.
Okay.
And number two, we also look at the manufacturing sector. After all, it's still a big chunk of the economy. Manufacturing is same like here, right? And we don't want to have de-industrialization happening in the country when we're trying to grow 8% per annum. Number three, the pharmaceutical. I think you want to learn from India being the largest generic drug producer and also one of the best health service provider, hospitals, for example, in the world, especially in terms of size. And energy transition is also another sector that we want to focus on, because India, is building, 200 gigawatt, I think, in the next 10 years, right? Which is quite a lot. And, a lot of them, if not 80% of them, coming from renewable energy. So energy transition is very important. And for us in Indonesia, you can pretty much do a lot of this renewable energy, not only solar, but wind, hydro, geothermal, and so forth. And even better, if in that sector, we can process the critical minerals below the ground using that. Therefore, the finished products can be at premium. And the last thing is technology, right? This is the land of startups. This is probably the third largest startups country in the world. With the capital market growing 5-6x, I think in terms of the asset under management,
right?
All the more, I think startups, environment is healthy. So we need to learn from India on this, because with this AI, we come to the era of intelligence, which you can leapfrog regardless of where you are right now in the growth story. So all in all, Prasan, I think. India and Indonesia not only have long cultural history and also traditions, and as you know, the first, I believe, chief guest of Indian Republic Day parade was our first president, Sukarno. So I think that symbolizes that Indonesia and India really are here to stay in terms of having good relationship. We need to balance many things from trade, investment, to make sure that both sides have good, part of the bargain, right? But we should also think about how Indonesia and India not only make smart investment and trade among each other, but how to collaborate to, for example, feed the world. For example, how to manufacture for the world, and so on and so forth. Because I think we can, and the world kind of need India and Indonesia to support the growth.
Okay. Now, two things. Indian startups are also going global.
Yeah.
And same goes with the Indonesia also. So what do you think about the sectors in India which Indonesia is excited about? And what are the sectors in Indonesia which Indian startups should be excited about, where the potential is still untapped? Lot needs to be done in that sector.
I think for Indian companies, Indian startups focusing in Indonesia, there are many areas that's ripe for innovations. But health is a big sector. India has done very well in terms of health startups, successful. Health tech, yeah. Education, edutech also very.
Fintech also.
Yeah, fintech for sure. But I'm not saying it's too late, but a lot of other innovations have been done the last 5 to 10 years. There will be new innovations.
Especially with the
AI. But we are underpenetrated on health as well as education. Now, for Indonesian companies going to India, I think any opportunities in rice, maybe a little bit less corn, but sugarcane will be very interesting. And I think depending on the incentives given to make in India, I think that's also interesting, because manufacturing in India, because we have the pool of talents, you have the market, and anyhow, India is already linked up to a lot of international markets.
Yeah.
So you can get the benefit of that too.
So when it comes to international exposure of India and Indonesia, what do you think India and Indonesia, and especially with the help of Chamber of Commerce and Industry, can do so as to create a win-win situation internationally?
Well, look, just coming back fresh from Davos, right? So everybody's trying to reimagine growth, right? A lot of times growth is coming from developed countries with different business models. Now, both Indonesia and India can show the world what kind of business models that work for developing countries, not only for India and Indonesia, but I think soon enough to the region, for example, like ASEAN, maybe even to Africa, right? So that's number one. Number two, I think India and Indonesia, especially India in this case, can reimagine how to upskill the talent pool that we have, because it is double-edged sword. We do want to grow and have great talents, but on the other hand, we also want to make sure that these people have jobs. The last thing we want is that the two democracies in the world have young people, 50-60% of the whole population, and they don't have jobs and improving welfare, right? So that's another thing that I think India and Indonesia can do. And plus, we both are India first in a member of BRICS. We just joined. So I think the way we can maneuver, especially in dealing with the US, because I'm sure US on the face of it is not going to be happy to start with, but going forward, we know that long-lasting relationships needs to make sure that both sides have to win.
Thank you, Mr. Bakrie. Thank you very much for such a candid conversation. I'm sure with your initiatives with Chamber of Commerce Industry, India and Indonesia will go a long way in terms of trade ties and relations. Thank you so much once again for your time.
Thank you, Rasan.